I rise today to speak in support of my amendment to Senate Bill 335. My amendment would require independent expenditure committees and campaign committees who share either a vendor or an attorney to submit notice to the Secretary of State of this shared resource. Once the Secretary of State has received this notice, they will be required to further investigate the relationship that exists between the shared vendor or attorney and the candidate committee. The Secretary of State would be allowed to promulgate this process as they see fit in order to maintain efficiency within their department. While sharing an attorney or vendor may not be proof of collusion itself between a candidate committee and an independent expenditure committee, it is our duty as legislators to ensure the already murky waters of campaign finance are as clear as possible. This amendment would ensure the Secretary of State is conducting due diligence when confronted with signs of possible collusion or coordination. Currently, these investigations are initiated only after a complaint is made to the Secretary of State. While the Secretary of State does the best they can after such complaints are made, you cannot complain about violations you don't know exist, and this legislation, as it stands, makes it easier for those unknowns to take place. I think it's preposterous to assume that a shared attorney or vendor can simply divide fully their attention or the communications they may have had with both the Independent Expenditure Committee and the candidate running for office. It is also unethical to allow the candidate and the IEC to collude, and we should take every step necessary to prevent this from happening. This amendment would ensure that the general framework of IECs is maintained while also adding an additional layer of transparency to ensure that there is no coordination between the IEC and the candidate committee. One of the main concerns that we heard from voters before, and certainly leading up to Senate Bill 335, is that there's already too much money in politics and not enough transparency to allow voters to know who is paying for what. Whether it's advertisements on television or literature pieces in the mail, the voters deserve to know the origin of political advertisements that fill our televisions and mailboxes every year. I respectfully ask my colleagues to support this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative. The question before the House is the adoption of the amendment. The clerk will open the board. The amendment is not adopted.